the tower.
Yeah.
And we've got big O. And then another line goes all the way down there.
Yeah.
And then another big O, which goes there. You see, yeah, it goes like that. It's under the A, under the lichen. Not sure. Oh, there's a line.
There's something else there as well.
Yeah.
What the Pardon my French. What the hell?
Yeah, compare with the other side.
Yeah.
Here we have cross. Oh,
Yeah.
cross. Circle's a lot clearer on this side.
Yeah, yeah.
Looks like a bit's been lost that way. Oh, the oxo. It's very similar design to what's on the back.
Yeah, it is really, isn't it? Now you say it. You can see that. Well, if anybody knows anything about this symbol or symbols like it, please do get in touch. So, welcome back. We hope you enjoyed the last instalment of the symbology in stones. We've got a couple more for you. Well, we've got a few more for you.
Adam, I don't
Yes.
mean to embarrass you live on air, so to speak,
Yeah,
but is symbology actually a word? Like,
symbology.
yeah, like I don't like. I've actually I was thinking about it the other day, and because like when you study sort of images and stuff, you can look at like semiology or semiotics or like symbolism. Obviously, is a word, but I don't even. I've never actually Googled it. I don't know. I mean,
Symbology,
if
yeah.
it's not a word, you can claim it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Adam's, it's clear. I mean, like I know what you mean. Like it's not as there's no confusion of tongues or anything when you say it. Like I know exactly what you're saying, but I don't actually know. You know, I've never. I should break out the OED and have a look at some point.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But let's just say
the
Adam Griffith invented the word symbology today, meaning the study of symbolism. And right.
So, I mean, you raise a good point because I guess if there is such a word, it is the study of a kind of scientific
Gonna coin that
categorization of these symbols, which means you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. I knew exactly what you meant by it. You know, like.
But what I mean is, you're probably right because I have no idea what was on this stone and what it represents.
Oh, well, no, absolutely. Yeah, it was. It was. That was a confusion of tongues. I had no idea what was trying to be put across with that stone whatsoever. I mean, well, for starters, the cross on the top is something that we'll see a few times in this video, or very similar variations of. And from there down, it was an enigma. Have we got some images? Is there an image of someone's rendering of the inscription?
Right.
And maybe on the Dartmoor Walks one, or
Dartmoor Walks, yeah. Right, okay. Bear with me.
That's right.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
This is the facsimile of it.
Cool. So it's not very clear, unfortunately, but you can see that they've got the OXO. That's the sort of famous part of the inscription, isn't it? Leading it to be generally called the OXO stone. You see this top, just this line here, what they're saying about the cross. Human figure with a halo around the head.
Okay. Is that what they say, which is on the back? Is that what they're suggesting for the back? Right. Northern side.
Yeah.
Okay. So quite literally a stick. It's quite literally a stick figure. Yeah. So I can see that it's got. You do have that kind of semicircle which could represent feet, I guess, couldn't you? I can see
Mm.
that.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I didn't know if they were just talking about the top cross though. I mean, do you want to
Right.
just scroll up to the
Yeah,
page
sure.
above, just see which bit they're talking about?
Human figure with halo on the head.
Just scroll up a bit more.
Up a bit more.
Oh,
That one.
there we go. So the eastern side has lines that bear a resemblance to an imperfect human. Right. Okay. So,
Okay.
so that could be the back one we were looking at with a line that comes down. I didn't know if it was referring to that top cross, which was like, as I say, like some of these crosses that we've looked at on a few stones, um, uh, which is it's sort of somewhere between a Tau Row cross,
Hmm.
and a more sort of human or crucifixion representation. Um, or say, should we say less? What's the word I'm looking for? Less abstract
Let.
than
Yeah.
just the letters, you know.
Yes.
But yeah, there's some other interesting things on this stone, like the crosses, which they quite a few different people say I call them St Andrew's crosses or
Mm.
saltires. Is that a word for them?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Saltire, yeah.
I like
Uh,
on the Scottish flag. Yeah.
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 Um, they generally date this. I mean, uh, this stone to like the 9th or 10th century, I think. We'll have a look at the listing of it in a minute, and people just flip between the two basically, or even 11th
Mm.
century. So one person is like, I don't see why this is pre-conquest, but I don't
Mm.
really get why it's post-conquest either.
No.
It's
No.
it's
No.
so abstract, and there's virtually no hint at uh, anything really. Um, it almost looks more like directions or like it's representing something that someone local would understand,
Yeah. Quite right. But
like a signpost. But
it does.
you know, they've done it in the most in sort of abstract symbols, so they didn't have to write a complicated name or something like that into it. I don't.
Sure. Yeah. Code for the local, the local mind, which we've
Mm.
completely lost.
Yeah, it
Uh,
could, yeah, but well, I mean, it is really. We don't really understand, other than the fact that that they say that symbols have a Christian meaning. There's We don't really know
no.
specifically what's being got at, and it's interesting that you put what is quite distinctly an obvious cross on the top on both sides, and then
Yeah.
you follow with more crosses and more,
Mm.
more Christian symbols. What's being got at,
Yes.
Uh,
Is there a narrative to unpick there? Isn't
mm,
there? And I'd lean towards assuming so,
yeah.
at least. Um,
Do you
the
want to
the
see
top,
should we scroll down to the matching stone? So there is actually another stone. We didn't get to see this one, but this isn't far off. I'm not sure what state it's in now. I'll try and investigate it at some point. But again, it's clearly a sister stone, isn't it? To the other one with that sort
clearly,
of design on it.
mm, a very enigmatic sort of semi-conjoining of two circular figures there.
Yeah,
Not two I mean, you don't know because these facsimiles are quite
exactly. That's
unreliable.
the thing. I was just thinking that it's something again. We'd have to
We
take the
have to see
chalk
for
and
ourselves.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
sort of shape of the stone looks very similar though.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
it really does.
And the fact that you've got these markings all the way up and down. But again, as you say, the person doing the facsimile could have just been very familiar with the other one. Someone's told them that it looks similar, and they've knocked
Yeah.
this together. It's
Yeah.
you do really need to go and have a look at them yourself.
Yeah.
Um,
Quite right.
should we just have a quick look at the listing? Cool. Um, uh, so yeah, so there's a bit of confusion here. I think unfortunately they've got the Sowerton Down cross, the Sawton Down cross that we looked at last week, the
Yeah.
Principus stone, mixed up with this one because it's in Sawton Village. So there has been a bit of confusion. with some of these, but so can you see at the bottom there, Adam, under Phillips Masson, he says no good reason for assumption of pre-conquest date.
Mm.
I don't see. Is there any good reason for an assumption of post-conquest date?
Yeah, that's the question. Yeah.
Never seen anything like it. Someone says probably 10th century, repaired and re-erected in 1985. A Greek cross at the top. They call it a Greek cross.
Ah, okay. Interesting.
Circle, then St. Andrew's cross and another circle. Greek cross, then two circles joined by a vertical line. So it's interesting because the Tau row and the Chi row, they are composed of Greek letters rather than Latin letters.
Yes.
Which is worth bearing in mind. So possibly they are. Maybe this is the most accurate description of a Tau row we're going to see on a listing today, in calling it a Greek cross. Rather than a Chi row.
Yes. Yeah.
At least they sort of made the generalization in the correct way rather than But we'll get into starograms and Chi rows in a minute, won't we?
We sure will. The cross is interesting. I'm just trying to find a photo of a photo in a catalogue, which is in a great book given to me by Tim Lewis, of a collection of stones in Wales, talking about these sorts of crosses. And there's one, I'm just trying to find it, which shows how you can imagine in a virtual image kind of way how you get these sorts of crosses and they sort of morph into growing legs and becoming quite anthropomorphic in that kind of way.
Yeah.
And you find those represented in the Brythonic world. So this is the sort of thing I mean here, where they sort of starting to grow feet here, which is just fascinating. You know, I've never seen anything like that apart from arguably similar sorts of things in Devon and Cornwall. But so we're talking about crosses with feet here.
Yeah.
And then there's actually growing human feet.
It's literally feet and hands. Yeah. It's interesting. You didn't actually. I think we filled it in after we stopped recording. But on one side was the sort of starogram-looking cross where it had like a round head, and then on the other side it was identical to that one in the top right corner, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
I didn't actually fill them in. I think on that video, but because we noticed them a bit afterwards.
Okay.
But yeah, it was spitting image of those ones in the top right.
Right. Okay.
God, that image in the top left is fascinating.
Just mesmerizing, the whole book. It's just like psychedelic. Looking through them, it's just incredible.
Fascinating.
Let me just. So when we're talking about starogram, we'll get. It's this cross here on the Krausius stone, which we're talking. That's what you mean, isn't it, Pete? You know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's I mentioned before, you know, many times before, there's a confusion or there's conflation between what is meant by when you see Chi row being mentioned on a, you know, if something's described as having a Chi row cross, sometimes it means this, which is a starogram, which is earlier than the Chi row.
Absolutely. And that is a very fine and clear example. The ones we were looking at in Devon and Cornwall were much rougher, weren't they?
Yeah.
One could even suggest there's maybe a stone for an emperor, with such nice carving on it.
Yeah.
But let's not get into that.
Another topic.
Another topic.
Yeah.
But yeah, but that is a really good one to just so that is a classic starogram or Tau row. Chi row is slightly different. We'll look at some images of that in a minute as well. But yeah, that's a fascinating example, and you can see a shot of Adam going to see that stone as well. Maybe tag it now.
Let's do it.
Hi, it's Great Griff, Adam Griffith here, back again. I'm in Penmachno Church this time, just outside Betws-y-Coed, which is a lovely, have a look around. Some lovely stained glass windows, Nice roof. Really lovely place. The reason I came here today was to look at these stones. You can see here, I'm going to get some proper pictures up of them and decipher them. Have a go at it. But the one I really wanted to come and see was this Carausius stone. And this stone is, it is actually recorded as an allusion to Carausius here. It says Carausius lies here. But I've often seen it written up by academics that it couldn't possibly be Emperor Carausius. And that's often due to the presence of this cross here. And I guess that they don't like the idea of early Christianity in Britain as to why they would say that. They say it's often said that it's actually a Chi Rho cross, which is incorrect, because the Chi Rho cross it's got that same P shape, but it's got a cross on its edge there, and I'll get a picture of what that looks like. And that Chi Rho cross with the X on its side was introduced by Constantine the Great in the 4th century. So this is called a Tau Rho cross, which is an earlier iteration, which allows us to take the stone dating way back to the 3rd century, when Carausius actually lived and is said to have died in Britain. So this could actually be, well, I think it is the headstone of Emperor Carausius.
Is that the Nadotti? Yeah.
Which one's this, Pete? What's it called?
We're the Brocagna stone.
Brocagna stone, right.
So this is a stone that Wilson and Blackett reckon could be Brockmile, son of Myrig. No, sorry, Brockmile, son of Tudrig. And they relate Nadotus name to Natan Leod, who's recorded in the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle as being killed, and they reckon it's the same story as Tudrig dying being martyred on the Wye, and that this could be the Brockmile stone. We know that Tudrig and Myrig possibly had lands in Cornwall. Brocagnus is generally accepted to be a Latinisation of Brucken, so we could have a Brucken here, but what the Nadotti name is, I'm not sure. But unfortunately, we don't have a lot of a remnants of the inscription on this one. We got a nice Tau Rho at the top here. We can pick that out.
That's cool. You've got some of the letters, haven't you?
I've got some letters, but I'm not sure if I'm doing it right. It looks like it's very hard to tell. It's very The stone's been broken halfway here as well, which doesn't help matters. It looks like some part was preserved a bit differently.
Can't tell what's going on here. There's
it looks like there's a whole thing across there, but I've not even seen any attempts at the lettering. Maybe is that a B there? It's very hard to tell.
It could well be. To be or not to be.
There's the thing is, we're meant to have quite a lot written on here, and there's not a lot of room.
No. I find it interesting, given what we were saying earlier about potential of like sort of semicircle shape representing feet at the bottom, with it being underneath the cross here. What do you think?
I don't know.
Well, we don't know, do we?
I think there was also one of those semicircles. Again, I think we noticed it later on the on the Oxo stone. There was one sort of enclosing the Oxo bit on that side at the bottom, almost like maybe like a cartouche.
True.
Thing.
But
we clearly got. I mean, we'll go into the names a bit more in another one. That's mainly what I concentrated. I was very sad at not being able to pick out much of the lettering on that one. And at the time I was sort of concentrating on that. But we're looking at the cross today. And you could see that, and it's really interesting. It's got the feet and hands, but it had definitely had a P top. It wasn't a cross at the top. It was definitely a P. Um, or an R, as it actually is. This is row,
Yeah.
row in
Yeah.
the Greek alphabet.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it was again nice size. It wasn't a massive stone, was it?
No, not no, no.
But yes, in such a state of erosion. I do
Mm.
find it interesting that you get these academics who visit these things, once every 10, 15 years, add something to the historic environment record, the listing about how they interpret the lettering, and they often comment about the quality of the inscription and how well they're surviving. But
Yeah.
there doesn't seem to be any interest about further preservation.
Yeah. Let's just watch it.
Yeah, well, I'll just
melt into history.
comment on it,
Yeah.
how it's got worse
Yeah.
since the last time someone looked at it, but not
Yeah.
not think about preservation.
Yeah.
Um, which is such a shame. And now this is in a very sort of iconic place for the village, and I can understand if they don't want to move it and things like
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah. Yeah.
that stone is just, well, it's already beyond reading. So and again, me and Adam have had another look around. We didn't find any any facsimiles, people's attempts at recreating the lettering, but
Yeah.
I'm sure there must be one out there somewhere. Um, but we'll do our best on that one, really.
If we find it in between now and when we do the names, we'll put it up, of course.
Yeah, yeah. So here we have, this is the Historic England Research Records. Call it the Long Cross at St. Endelion. But just worth pointing out, it says 6th century inscribed stone known as the Long Cross stands in situ in its original base at a junction. So it was probably used, it says on its original base. I don't know if that means because of that broken part we were talking about.
Yeah.
Not sure if it's always been that. There's an inscription of Roman capitals combined with Hiberno-Saxon script.
I've never heard that before.
I assume that means insular script, which
Hiberno-Saxon would.
Hiberno.
So when we say insular, because I took that to mean like a sort of another way of saying Celtic. But
Yeah, so yeah, I mean literally it just means of the islands.
Okay.
So I think the whole idea is it includes the Irish, Brythonic, and Saxon
I see.
contribution to things like, and that out of that you get things like the Book of Kells or the Lindisfarne Gospels, or and that sort of stuff. But
I see.
what Hiberno, I mean, Hiberno Saxon is a really interesting.
That's
Right.
really.
But anyway, the key bit we're looking at is script on the front with the Chiro monogram above it, it says. But as we've just shown, it's not a Chiro monogram. I believe this is also what they say for the Covline report says for the Carousius stone. It says it's a Chiro monogram as well. Should we have a look at a Chiro?
We can just.
So you can see it's on the shield just behind the guy on the very little horse, which could be a Dartmoor pony. You never know. Never know. But yeah, so we've got the Greek R, which is what we call a P, and then it's got like a cross, like a St. Andrew's cross through it, which is the chi rather than a T for Tau. Now this is an interesting image because this is an image of, I think, Constantine the Great's son, who was Constantius or Constantinus or something, like a variation on Constantine.
Yeah.
And it was Constantine that brought in the Chi-Rho as that symbol, and it was featured on a lot of shields, and so I'm wondering if there is a predilection for the Tau-Rho in Britain because they are trying to separate themselves from Constantine's church. Make some sort of distinction.
Well, that's and that's So you get it, yeah, you get a tradition where it retains the older form.
Older form, yeah. Or even like, because maybe not even the older form, but as soon as he said the Chiro is mine, because he didn't invent the Chiro, he just took it on as his own symbol. So maybe it's just like, oh well, he's taken that. We don't want anything to do with that anymore.
Yeah.
You know.
To do with the Roman Church, indeed, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I was just saying to Adam about how the Star of Ground was definitely very much a representation of the crucifixion. And there was some idea that before like the 3rd or 4th century, people didn't like to show images of the crucifixion. Like it was a bit, you know, not a thing that occurred later. But they're now actually finding starograms in quite old manuscripts dating to before that period, and other images of crucified Christ as well. So definitely, you know, something was used. So yeah, that's a Chiro.
That's Chiro. And I was just saying to Pete off air that I heard a Gnostic interpretation recently where this cross on its side, the St Andrew's cross, can represent the precession of the equinox and the cardinal directions of those, with the P or the R, the center of the cross representing Christ as the sun in the middle, you know. So
it's so what do you think's going on, Adam? Yeah, do you want to type in starogram as well, just so we can have another look? Why is it that the listings for these things are getting it wrong? These are two very different symbols. Well, not very different. They have obviously are related. They're both one. I think they were symbols that had other meaning before the Christian time, and then were taken on because of how they look. For instance, as an image of the crucifixion, to have Christian meaning. But they're, I mean, they've got different names because they're different letters. They mean different things.
Yeah.
Why is it being missed? What's going on? Is it just laziness?
It could be laziness. It could be a lack of a will to want to understand the difference, which and also, I mean, you can take the route that the early church maybe wanted all remnants of it want to be covered over.
I was going to say, this is the other thing, that maybe people didn't want to draw attention to the fact that they weren't using Constantine's symbol.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're talking about trying to actually understand and interpret these stones, I read an essay by Ken Dark, who's very mainstream on early medieval stuff. He's quite famous for it. He was saying that these stones are incredibly well studied. And I was just thinking, but people don't even name the symbols right.
They don't name the symbols
over and over and over and over again. Like, and not to mention the differences that we've seen with inscriptions and what's actually there and what's being represented. Often even in the modern, the most recent understanding of what's written there is often incorrect. When you actually go and look at it yourself. So to say these things are thoroughly well studied, I just think it's not true. And as you said, we find them again and again in states of poor preservation, with very little interest in keeping that going. Especially, I think Devon has been the worst so far. I think Cornwall's a bit better, and obviously Wales, you've got at least a couple of good museums, but I know there's plenty more as well that are just crumbling. And
loads.
I
was just going to mention on the video I did for the Crozier stone, which obviously we've already shown.
We've just seen,
the welcome mat to the church offers this symbol as that's on the welcome mat to say welcome to the church, where we've got this Chiro cross, but it's a
different cross.
It's the Crozier stone with the starogram on it. So it's not celebrate it, well, it's not displaying a stone with a chi rho. So
Yeah.
there's it did strike me as just cognitive dissonance. There was maybe
Yeah.
a lack of a will to want to understand, or it's been bent to fit into an ideology.
Yeah, strange, isn't it?
It's been.
Can you imagine how a Scots person would respond if you had a St Andrew's flag on the wall and it said, come in and look at our England flag? Like
There we go.
just to make a very simple,
Yeah.
Oh well, they're both flags of Britain,
Yeah.
so it's all the same. Well, no, they don't. They have different meanings, different representations, and different meanings for different people as well. So
Indeed.
and
yeah.
very important ones for some people. It's
Well, quite right. And as we've demonstrated before on this channel, by the 5th century, the differences between the church in Britain and the church in Rome were so apparent that they stopped being invited to the councils.
Yeah.
So, and that was after a council which was held to discuss things in the British church, such as paganism. So, I like your idea that the crosses represent just a divergence from the Nicene Creed, the Constantine's Christianity, because it makes sense.
Yeah,
it makes common sense.
Another stone.
Let's do it.
Here we are at the Tristan Stone. It's a big boy. Just about see the Kuno warrior. Kuno Wari, Filius, possibly. And a benchmark underneath. Can't quite see the Drustanus. And then on the other side is a relief T. An early representation of the cross. Right on the side of the road, outside Foy, Cornwall. So we got another image here. Now this is definitely correctly recorded as a T, but we get a T shape is another ancient Christian symbol. It's it's half a starogram, so I could see it again representing the crucifixion in some way. This one is really interesting because of the fact that it's a relief. So this, sorry, I've jumped ahead. This is the Connemara stone in just outside Foy in Cornwall. You can see me talking about it in my visit to Cornwall video that we'll link in.
Yeah.
It's just really interesting because this is in low relief, whereas pretty much every other stone is inscribed, where it's carved out or pecked out. Whereas this has been, cut out of the rock, so the image pushes out of you, which is really unusual on these stones. We don't get normally that sort of work done until later, but again, we have this very early Christian symbol, which, and we're seeing like an array of different ways of representing Christ on the cross in Cornwall.
Yeah, cool. And one more thing about these crosses, which are a Dumnonian, wonder, aren't they? They're one of the mysteries of the area. There's a tradition within Freemasonry, I think, because the author Albert Pike, who is a Mason, is kind of this idea that it's associated with Huguedon. And it's like an ancient symbol that goes back.
Really?
Yeah, that goes back to Huguedon and the migration to Britain from him. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. So we will also cut to another video at some point, which will be from the Cornish video as well, just to show you another Tau row that's very similar to the ones we've just looked at. And that was at the stone in South Hill near Callington in Cornwall. We'll play the video now, and then we'll come back and have a look at the listing for it. That was the other link. I'm at St Sampson's in South Hill, near Callington, in Cornwall. That's been affixed at the back of the stone. And the inscription's on this side, but it's very faint. But what you can see, just about, is what has been mislabeled as a Chiro, is a Tauro. And that is the Samson who is associated with the Arthurian period. Unfortunately, I didn't have any chalk with me that day, but someone's got a nice photo here where you can just you can pick out the inscription fairly well, and you can see the cross at the top. It was again a Tauro, but I believe if you go, sorry Adam, you spent a long time getting that photo ready, but we're gonna actually we want to look at the writing. We want to see what people have said about it. Here it says, at the upper end of the east principal face of the shaft is an incised motif called a Chiro monogram, visible as an upright cross formed with a capital letter L with a central curved crossbar. The terminal of the upper limb curves to form a letter P. The cross limbs terminate in round ends, which is not what a Chiro looks like.
No. Yeah.
There we go. The Chiro monogram is an early medieval shorthand symbol for Christ. Again, not quite. First two Greek letters are letters for Christ. But that is not what it is. It's formed of a tau and a rho.
Yeah.
And is specifically a representation of the crucifixion. So again, it's just wrong. But
yeah, it's a mystery, isn't it? It's another mystery on top of the mystery. Like what's going on? Why are they being represented in a way which isn't? I
wonder if I should just send an email to someone.
That would be, yeah. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I might just see someone locally, just pick out one of the ones near me, and well, actually, probably I don't live in Cornwall, and I think these are all in Cornwall. I don't know. I got write to me local MP about it, but no, I'm sure that I'll see what I can do. Actually, I might have a look and just send a query off, and see what's going on. Because yeah, it's just odd, but it is great to see that there is some sort of not standardization, but a shared culture. You know, they're not just. It's not just like any mason who knows how to hammer something very something cross-like into a stone. You see the same sort of images repeated, and it's, as you say, it's these images of the crucifixion, but which are quite abstract, but they're like the letters, but then become more and more human-like.
Yeah.
And we definitely see that with the examples we looked in Cornwall, and also the Principus stone we were looking at the other day as well.
Indeed, yeah.
Where there's very distinctly like a round head, right at the top. In fact, one thing just to sort of contradict everything we've said today, in some cases, then it's not really a tau, is it? It is like a round human head on top, and I would say it definitely represents a Tauro much more than a Chiro. Resembles, sorry, not represents, resembles. But and
that's interesting because it, as I hopefully demonstrated with showing the that other photo from the catalogue. That these things kind of morph in a virtual sort of way into different figures, and in Devon and Cornwall you have this tradition which lasts to this day with gravestones where you have a literal human, I'm assuming human Jesus standing, as on the cross,
like in the center of the wheel cross. Yeah,
indeed. And it's image archetypal of the area. It's
Yeah.
just fascinating, and so
Do you want to?
Yeah.
Sorry, do you want to? Should we get a couple of images of the 10th century
Yeah,
wayside crosses?
absolutely.
So we couldn't find our own image.
Blame me.
Although we definitely took one. It definitely
Yeah.
took one somewhere. But so this, what did you say? This is the St. Just Market cross.
Just mark it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not one of the examples we saw, but it does it's similar to a couple we saw.
Mm.
And it just sort of explains what we were getting at in this very quite clear human-like representation of the figure on the cross. These come from the wayside crosses, which they generally think date to around the 10th century. So I think we can argue at least there is a development from these sort of abstract letter forms of the starogram through to slightly more anthropomorphizing the image as a tradition that went through from the Brythonic Church right through until the 10th century. And then after that, there would have been probably a series of various destructions by various Christian movements over the next 1,000 years. And that's why a lot of these stones are in pieces, essentially. Images of Christ are obviously very touchy to certain branches of Christianity that have flourished in various parts of this country, and even just decoration in general. And Protestant movement, especially post-Reformation, was very much about making things as plain and as boring and covering up artwork in churches or destroying it completely. These crosses have just sort of barely survived in some cases, but I think we can show some sort of tradition that goes through from the early medieval to this sort of style of cross, which was definitely being innovated at that period.
Yeah, absolutely. Showing that the starogram is something from the 2nd, 3rd century, am I right? And how that has been represented in the stones we find in 5th and 6th century, right through to the 10th century, where we get this kind of thing. So that's a huge continuum of a development of these sorts of crosses within Devon and Cornwall. I'm just reminded that this is also a place with an area of Britain extremely well, entwined with this narrative of Christ coming to physically to Britain, and you're getting it. I feel like we're getting this through the depictions of an actual human Christ.
Yeah.
Because if as if to say, we permit ourselves in this corner of Britain to actually give a depiction of Christ, seeing as he actually came here. That's what I'm getting from it. Yeah,
I remember you when you were there. You said it was like some sort of familiarity,
right?
Like they had a familiarity with the person, so therefore, the image then followed.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really nice way of putting it.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, nice one.
Excellent. Well, is that all?
I think that's everything.
I think that's it. Okay.
Well, what's coming up? We're hopefully getting Steve Willits back soon to do some more Babylonian star map.
Yeah.
What's our next stone video? Because we've got more inscribed stones to come as well.
Yes, we have. So it's a bit more linguistic next time with names and looking at different letters. We've got some exciting Colburn or Phoenician letters coming up as well. So and we've got some more things from Dartmoor as well from our trip.
Yeah.
Also, we're going to be speaking to Hugh Evans soon as well. at some point.
Very
To
exciting.
do with, very excited for his hugely important new book, The Origin of Time, which you can go and buy at his website, and I'll leave a link for that too. And hopefully Marshall Abrahams as well. We'll speak to Marshall about the Great Migrations. So there's lots coming up.
We're just trying to get round to it.
get round to it all. Not to mention some more things such as I visited Devon, so talks on Devon coming up, and much more.
Much more.
All right,
Great.
Excellent. Thanks for watching, and cheers. Take care.
Catch you soon.